So he was saying that he chose to work more at this phase of life, and so that he can have more life at the later phase of life. But how I look at that example that he brought up is, this phase of life, he chose to be working more, but it's still his phase of life. And at the later phase of life, he chose to be working lesser because of the hard work he put in his previous phase of life. So all these are life. Like, don't deny yourself that you are not living your life when you're at work. If not, you will feel that it has been taken away from you. So that's how I feel about it.
Welcome back to Wise and Shine. I'm your host, Reggie, aka your Chief Financial Coconut.
And I'm Dawn, SG Budget Babe.
So you want to introduce yourself, guys?
Sure. Hey guys, Rakesh here from the Coconut team.
Hi, my name is Xian. I'm the host for the Chinese Financial Coconut, Li Chai Oh Yeah.
Oh yeah, love the show name, man. Really, check out their show, and then let's see where this goes. I think Rakesh will join us a bit more, right? He's gonna take over. He's been appearing on Voice and Shine a bit too much, right? So eventually he'll be like our new trio, right? And if you want Rakesh to be a new trio, please put it in the comment section. But before we roll, as you can tell, we run many different shows. So I'm very happy to be partnering with City Music, right? So they have kindly sponsored us this new device, right? This new toy here is a P8, Zoom P8. If you didn't know, Zoom is one of the best recorders out there. It's industry standard, right? And I have 3 Zoom H6, right? Which is where we used to use, right? All the things that we play around with, that's H6. You can do a lot of stuff, but this P series is specific for podcasters. So P8, you can play, got sound effect, but I will not use, if not I cannot, right? So all that jazz, right? And if you love what they do, check them out, City Music. This whole thing is powered by Zoom. Nice. So today's topic is an important topic, right? By an important man, right? So some guy, yeah. So some would say after so long, it's still an important man, right? But I don't care. Okay. Anyway, right? If you are good, you are good. I don't really care like what gender, whatever. Okay. So today's topic is actually brought to you by Piyush Gupta, CEO of DBS. Brought to you, right? Brought to you.
Sounded like a sponsor.
I hope.
Yeah.
Brought to you by Piyush Gupta, CEO of DBS, and I hope that you will come on our show, right? But he put out this line, this famous line now, right? Is work-life balance is baloney, right? So, we had to talk about it. When I saw it, I was like, my goodness, guy dare to say that. Right, so that's our discussion for today. Is work-life balance baloney, right? But before we begin, just want to clarify, you all know what is a baloney, right?
Actually, I don't.
No.
Essentially,
is it like balloon?
No, the baloney is that ham thing. Have you seen like the Amo eat the ham, and there's this particular ham called baloney, but inside, right, it's all the chapalang meat. Right, and then like it's chapalang, and then and they grind together, so it's like chapalang. This idea is chapalang, that's the idea, right? Essentially, baloney meat is one of the worst, the cheapest, right?
Most inferior quality.
Most inferior quality, most chapalang, most grind together, whatever, right?
Like so, chicken nugget.
What he's trying to say is a bunch of nonsense, is it?
Exactly, I think that's
Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, I think that's what he's
Why
trying to say.
throw in the chim word and then leave the meat alone?
Because he's a chim guy.
Okay.
Right. Guys, the CEO of DBS, right? So next time when I'm the CEO of whatever, that I also tell you, Margarita, Marandivina, Carbonara, whatever, right? Okay, but anyway, so yes, that's the genesis for today's episode, right? So is work-life balance baloney? Anybody has any strong comments to give?
Important man say yes, then must say yes.
Wow, he's the CEO,
Really? You think so? Okay.
But I would say yeah, kind of baloney.
Okay. And I'll just go one round, get everybody's comments first.
I don't really agree with work-life balance.
Oh wait, so you agree with him? Oh, you don't agree with him, but you don't agree with work-life balance.
I don't agree with work-life balance, but I think he's being a little bit blunt.
Okay. Then if you're not blunt, we will not talk about it.
Blunt means true, right?
May or may not. Direct and blunt is a fine line, right? It's like this is on the point, but there are many ways to deliver the point, right? So I think bluntness is.
My take is, if you need to balance between two things, that means these two things could be on two ends of a spectrum. But I somewhat believe in finding a job, like the cliche one, if you find a job that you love doing, then you don't have to work all the time.
You see, you're judging yourself when you're saying that point.
Here's the thing is, I believe more in idea called work-life blend. Like when you are out of work, you could still be doing or thinking about things that can make life better, which essentially will make work better.
And maybe that was his point.
Okay, but
I don't know what his point,
what is your
but,
point?
I think work-life balance works in some areas and some not. I think that's quite key, especially industries, right? There's some industries where work is life and life is work, kind of, right? It's just like what you said, blended.
Yes.
But there are others where because of either restrictions or because of other areas, you just can't bring work home. Right? Could be you have to be in the office in order to access the VPN, for example.
Military.
Yeah. But I think for me, personally, I feel that I don't fully believe in work-life balance either.
Oh, wow.
So everybody agree.
Okay, end of story. Okay, PH Gupta sponsor
No
us.
other point of view
Yeah,
already.
that's it. There's no other point of view, right? Work-life
But
balance.
let me explain a little bit more there.
Great, that's why you're on the show. Come. Yes.
Because pre-COVID and post-COVID, I feel created two different working streams.
And what are they?
Okay. Pre-COVID, I felt that there was a lot more demarcation between work and life. At least I felt it that way. You go to the office, you leave the office, finish, go home. With all this hybrid working and stuff like that, it's very easy to, during your lunchtime, to close your laptop because you're at home and then play with your kid or go and do something. Right. So technically, or even at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, do that because you have a 1 hour break. Now, is that fair? And then by the same time, you could be going, okay, 8 p.m. I have a call that I need to take, which is technically my lifetime, right? As opposed to my work time. So how do we manage that? And do people see the need to be able to separate that completely?
Yeah. So, okay, I think in the early days, I'm not sure how many of us still remember, right? In the early days of the pandemic, when you had to work from home, I think a lot of people struggle, at first. Not in the sense of they're struggling to work, they're struggling not to work, right? Because they're literally waking up next to their computer. Right. And then it's like there's a diminished there's an expectation that you gotta be on time. 1 minute is too long now. Last time our social parameters were 15 minutes, right? If you're late more than 15 minutes for the meeting, right, that means you're super late, right?
Yes.
And then now it's like 2 minutes in, 3 minutes.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, sorry. Hey, it's just a washroom, right? Like, what's the problem, right? But anyway, so there are a lot of all these changes that were coming on and latching on the way of life. And I feel like that, on some level, yes, has made it harder to work on that front. But one of my friends kind of reimagined how this is done, and I thought it was quite cool. In other words, right, when he's working hybrid, right, his weekend is thrown into this hybrid mix, right? In other words, right, as long as he can get his things done, it doesn't matter which day he works or what time does he work. So he does not feel bad that, there's a lunch hour, I'm going to pick up my kid now and then send them to enrichment class, whatever. All that jazz. And then he will work on Sunday night. Like that kind of stuff, like just because it's a loud time of the day, then he just want to get something done. So whenever he has the time, he'll do what he needs to do, and then he clears them. The rest of the time is his, right? And he has 3 kids, right? So it's great, right? On that front. So I think if we are thinking about work-life balance when it comes to like hybrid work as a structure, I don't think the hybrid work situation itself is to blame, I don't think that is the real struggle here. In fact, the government is pushing for flexi work, right? Flexi commute, flexi work, you can work from anywhere, and I also like it, right? So I support that. My whole team is flexi work, right? And when we come together, wow, it's very intense because when we come together, we know we don't meet every other day. So when we actually meet in person, it's very intentional. Okay, we're going to cover this. We're going to get all these answers. We're going to do this. And even when I ask you questions, I'll try to catch up with you, right? It's also very intentional. You'll not be like, what you ate yesterday? I don't care what you ate yesterday, right? But I care about like how things at home, like how's your family? Is everything okay? Are you achieving your goals? So even the questions that are being asked in scarcity, because we don't meet all the time. When we meet, the quality of discussion, the quality of care, the quality of like interaction between the team is much better. I don't think the flexi work or like before COVID, after COVID, it really is the problem lah. But yeah, that's my take.
I think it's also how you perceive or define work in your life. Like for me, because I have so many hats that I wear, right?
You do, yes.
I see even my work as a mother as work.
So do you take a break or you do balance it off not being a mother?
When I sleep. I sleep is when I don't work.
So that is obviously not balanced, right?
Because if you okay, I show you all why, and this is how I see my life and my perspective on things. The moment I wake up, okay, let's say if I am, putting on skincare or putting my creams, that's me working to keep my skin or body in tip-top shape. When I exercise, that's me working for my health. When I write on my blog, some of it are paid client work, some of it is organic stuff that I feel strongly about, but it's all work for the brand to build the Budget Babe brand and website, right? When I run on this recording, okay, it's work for Wise and Shine. When I go to the office for my corporate job, it's work in exchange for a pay slip. So when I do my stuff on the side, my consulting and weight loss stuff, it's also work for the income. So everything is work. Even when I help my kid with his homework, that's work. When I bring him to school, that's me fulfilling my duties as a mother. So to me, everything is work.
I want to throw in one more extreme case. If you bring the kids to go on holiday as the mother, is that work or is that holiday?
So I always feel when I bring my kids, it's not truly a holiday. The real holiday where I feel relaxed is when it's only myself and friends or husband. I don't have to care about, hey, you got brush your teeth, you got drink water, you got all this, because we are all independent, right? We really get to enjoy. But when we bring our kids, it's like, how can I help them enjoy this holiday? And then when I brought them to Taiwan, for example, earlier this year, I'm very conscious of, I must make him go and talk to the bread shop auntie so he learns and be more comfortable with speaking Chinese. And I'm thinking of all this stuff. So to me, that's all work.
So then I'll throw one more spanner. What is life then for you?
That's where I would say, if I were to go with your definition, it's a work-life blend, no? Because everything is work and life, isn't it?
If everything is work, then the only life that you are having would be sleep time, like I just said.
So it's work and rest.
No, because I think what she's saying, actually, she's pushing a boundary, right? She's essentially trying to throw away the label of work in the sense of everything is just work. You're working on everything. Either you're working on yourself,
yes, you're working on
your
everything,
plans,
correct.
working on your career, working on your team, you're working on your family. Work is work, right? And it's a given in life, right? And it's essentially that's what she's saying, right? It's a given in life. I think Man Wai came on our show previously, right? Leong Man Wai just saying, right? He talked about the good life, right? Essentially, he tried to talk about the good life, and to him, everybody has to work. And I actually agree. I think there is a bunch of people out there that is talking about this, right? Where everything is work, right? And if once you add a disdain to work, then it makes life painful, not the other way around. You know what I mean? It's like, it's because you hate work, that's why you hate life. Not because of work that made you hate life. On some level, I think that's where people are. It's a bit meta, but that's where people are going. And I just want to add an endorsement to Dawn, right? She really will write articles that she's very strongly about, that I tell her, hey, how about we find sponsors? She's like, no. Because if I get sponsored, right, then I cannot write how I want to write. so she actually told me off on one of the stuff. I was like, oh, okay, that is quite cool. But yeah, okay, back on topic.
So it's all work, right? I mean, would you agree? It's a bit extreme. It's a very different viewpoint.
Yeah,
but would you agree that when you
viewpoint.
exercise, that's also working for your health? So is that life?
No, for me it is not either.
Oh wow, love it.
It's life for me, so okay.
No.
The light is here.
No, it's okay.
Right.
I'm still here, bro. I'm still here. I'm still with you. Yeah.
And we need to throw something else in the mix here, which is culture and culturally and what we are brought up on as well, right? At least in Singapore, I feel we were brought up on the fact that we have to work and therefore create this blend. Is this the same in Europe? Is this the same in welfare state? That's a question that I want to bring up. Because, for example, growing up there, they literally, at peak season, closed their shop, their retail shop that they own, and said, going skiing with family, be back in 3 weeks. And they don't care whether they're getting money. They don't care about their shop because they're going to enjoy themselves and they distance themselves from it. Same thing you see in day-to-day work when you're dealing with Europe, when you're dealing with Australia. Right? The US a bit hybrid. They also work quite a lot. But when you see the other ones, like in school, we had 2 weeks free and they call it ski week. You're supposed to go and ski. So for me, culturally,
you have 2 weeks free, you go for tuition and enrichment.
Yeah, correct. So you see what I mean? You see the culture difference?
Yeah. And
Yeah,
you
that's
will
a
know
great
better,
point.
right? You grew up there. You go to Australia and has an Australian wife. Yeah.
Yes.
I had a great time talking to her, right? Just not putting out any personal stories, but I was planning to go to Georgia. I remember I was planning to go to Georgia, and we were hanging out at his place. And I was telling his wife, "Hey, I'm going to Georgia." Then she was like, "For what?" Just going. Oh, okay. Sure.
Great.
Cool. Great. Go for it, right?
Why Georgia? What you want to do over there?
Yeah, exactly.
You cannot earn money.
Exactly. She was.
How later your bank account?
Yeah, she was like, "Oh, just is. Oh, okay. Have fun." She was the only one that gave me a positive, like, okay.
Hey, what you mean I never give you?
I mean, you also asked me. You also asked me what you going there for, right? It's like, yeah, no, it's like many and exactly right. No work, right? What are you doing there? Right? Doing business, right? What are you doing? It's like,
Is it because they ask that question because they don't know you are there to be there? Like going to Georgia itself is an agenda, but a lot of them did not register that.
Okay, so that is very meta, right? Essentially, the discussion is very like you're trying to redefine all this. So essentially, you can take the same narrative and put it on what he just said, right? Which is like, oh, but skiing is also part of work because you're working on yourself.
On your skiing skills.
Right. So you're working on your family. Then that whole thing just string together already. But that is on some level a bit semantics, right? I think the real discussion is, why are you spending so much time on your career as opposed to other aspects of life? Right? That is the real discussion, right? It's great that you redefine work, you find a narrative that can work for you, blah, blah, blah. Great, go for it, right? But I think a lot of Singaporeans do feel that we are overworked. I think there's quite a lot of surveys that came out. Recently, Singaporeans work too much, very hardworking, blah, 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 right? You put in a lot of hours. So it is fair to say that a lot of Singaporeans are spending a lot of hours at the office or like on their job, right? If you don't use the word work on their job, right? You're spending all these hours, which is why there's a craving for like, can I spend more hours in like other aspects of life, especially when you're in a decade-long run. When we're 20s, we don't really know what we want to do. By the time we're 30s, right, we know what we're good at. We know what's the market, generally where it is, right? And then we start to ask ourselves, is this something we still want to do?
Is this what we want?
Is this what we want? Right, so that is the discussion, right? Like, are we spending too much time at work, or at the job that we are not spending enough in other aspects of life, which is the basis of a work-life balance discussion, right? Which is why on some level, I cannot fully agree with the is work-life balance baloney. No, and you cannot just use a simple, like very meta, like redefining the idea of work to take away, because as much as you think everything is work, which I share that view, everything is work. The reality is a lot of us really spend a lot of work on like money-making things that is like career focus or like job focus. We're not spending enough time working on ourselves or our lives, our family, people around us. Right, to a point where we don't even really like our lives.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
I think that's a valid cry and a valid craving that a lot of Singaporeans feel.
I want to throw in a scenario of how I think of this perspective, like the people who think or the people who felt that they demand a work-life balance, like they demand more balance in between this. Does that mean that they usually think of it as two separate things? So they go into work, meaning that they are dropping their life behind, and then they switch on into this robot mode. I'm just going to work. And when the time comes that I end work, 6 o'clock, clock out, then I suddenly switch back into my life mode. Is it because of that, then they are more inclined to demand a work-life balance because they felt that the 8 hours at work, it has been abducted away from their life?
It could be, or they're putting up a persona.
Yes, which is not them anymore. I'm at work, I'm not CN, I'm like this customer service guy, for example.
Yeah.
I think my mother-in-law will completely agree with it.
Yeah. No, and I don't see a problem with it. Right. The thing is, I don't see a problem because there are some jobs that really just require you to do that. Right. You go in, and that's as far as it goes, right? So
then are we quantifying it in the sense that the norm is at 8 hours now, but most Singaporeans spend more than 8 hours?
I think so. That's what the surveys are saying, right? Singaporeans are spending more
out of the office hours. There's even more work time.
And if you're in the manager level, right, OT is not counted. It's MOM law, yeah? Right? If you're in the management.
If you're in teaching, also same.
Yeah. There's no such thing as OT hours. There's no such thing as OT hours. So because I had a good friend, right? She came on the show, Stephanie, right? The patissier in Hong Kong. And she was saying that, I went to ask MOM like, hey, why I cannot claim OT? And MOM say, oh, because you're management already. Right, but in the chefing world, right, management and not management, right, all got
Same.
all go down, right? So it's a thing, lah. But yeah,
And I think good to define firstly what we meant by work.
Yeah.
The other thing is, at what time period do you define it? And I want to talk less on the day, more on your life, if you don't mind, right? Indulge me a little bit. So for me, I don't need work-life balance now.
I know where you're going with this. Yeah.
So I'm going to work so that in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time, I have more life than work. Right? And I'm okay with that. And I know that now when my body can take it, I'm going to work my socks off to make sure I enjoy my life when my body can't take it.
Yeah.
So maybe I want to throw that into the mix in terms of time frame.
That's a great point. I think like part of the reason why a lot of Singaporeans feel they don't have the work-life balance is also because the life part has a lot of things going on. We're the sandwich generation. So our life, unfortunately, does mean taking my kid to the doctor, to the speech therapy here and there, to school, help the homework. Then on top of that, my parents need to go hospital, need to go for the doctor checkup. So end up, I don't have my own life.
Yes, I want to add into that. It's like they felt that they have a lot of things going on, but none of these things going on are actually decisions made by them or things that they have control.
Yes.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking when she was saying it. So I got kids my family my parents where's the me?
When was the last time you get to eat your favorite cake?
Yeah, where's
Could be something just as small as that.
Great. That's why you're quite happy with life, right? It's more like and I think that is a valid cry, right? Where is the me in this thing, right? Like okay, go 8 hours.
Because they go 8 hours and it's for the employer or for the money, and then like after that on the way back it is for the kid, then it's for the family, for the parents, and nothing for themselves.
Yeah, and I think that is a valid point that we all need to kind of grapple with, right? And grapple it in a very tangible way. Like maybe what you really need to do is you need to have some friends that are like not within the workspace, not within your usual circle.
I think it also depends on what resources they have. Because for instance, right, someone who is the only child and has young kids would feel it a lot more than someone who has siblings. So the sibling can come in to help with the elderly parent, but the only child doesn't. Like it's all you, man.
You have to thank it.
Yeah, you have to thank. Yeah. So that's where they feel it a lot more. Like I don't have work-life balance at all, and every additional hour spent at work is literally taking 1 hour away from most likely themselves first. But when they don't even have the time for themselves, hence it's taking away from their other stuff. Yeah. It's very hard. How you take away?
Yeah. The feeling of you have got no control over your whole life.
No. But I think I'm not disputing that point. I think that is a valid point. But I'm also asking more people to think a little bit about like your neighbors and all that. Like 远近不如近邻, right? Like this is a Chinese saying, right? You have a lot of relatives, but they're very far away, right? But actually, your neighbors, the people closest to you, like physically close to you, could be your strongest support.
You could have a lot more community out of your family. I grew up with just my parents and my brother. All my relatives are in Taiwan. So basically, I grew up without relatives. Like on Chinese New Year, we don't go back to Taiwan. On big festive seasons, I don't get to meet my cousins or relatives at all. So most of the time, we hang out with the family friends. So these are the community of support that we get since I was a kid.
Yeah, so I think blurring that family line, because there's too much talk about family, everything must family, right? But actually, if you kind of blur that out a little bit, and like be closer with your neighbors, be a little bit more concerned about them.
You can't ask your neighbor to bring your kid to school for you.
Sometimes they might. Yes. Sometimes they might.
I grew up with my junior's dad driving me to school every day.
I grew up like that as well.
Yeah,
yes.
So like I studied in Serangoon. I stayed in Tampines. It's crazy getting from Tampines to Serangoon every day.
Yeah, got no line also, no train line.
Back then, what other line? Back then, oh my god. Yeah.
My bus.
Cheng. We can say back then
no
already.
line, correct.
Back then, no line.
27.
Yeah, life is hard. Anyway, yes, back then, no line, right? So you gotta take like the bus and then change another bus to get to school, right? And then the next year, when a junior of mine came into school, he just stays the next estate down.
Yeah.
Right. And then his dad drives every day. in and out
Okay,
every day.
but to be fair, you were of a certain age by then, right? I think also we need to factor in the ages of the dependents. Like my preschool, I cannot even let the grandpa pick up because he's not the authorized person to pick up the kid.
Right.
Yeah, so there are certain limits in play.
Yeah,
If the child is a bit older, I think it's okay. If the parent's a bit younger, a bit more mobile, probably can go to the doctor by themselves. But if it's a very fragile, old already, terminal illness kind, and the kid is also very young, I think that's where the people feel the most stress.
Of course. And I'm not discounting their situation, right? So
But it's a great point for people who don't have that age issue.
Yeah.
Then the community of support, extended community would
because
help.
the nucleus family is a problem, right? It's just too small.
Yes, it's too small.
And it's too small
And it's
to
getting
support. It's a very big problem, right? And we keep pushing this idea of family, right? Like we start realizing that, the byproduct is the nucleus family, and the nucleus family is too small to handle life's problems. It takes a village to raise a kid, right? So I think we need to kind of look back at
the neighbours and good friends
bit.
bringing the kids to school very shiok. I also want it. Anyone want to
be my good friend, be my neighbour, right?
So
we can
actually,
kumbaya, support
there
each
is an
other.
app called Good Hood. You should take a look at it.
Serious?
Built in COVID for neighbours to create the kampong spirit.
Oh my god, Good Hood. A Singapore company?
I think so.
So what did they
great,
do? What did
great.
you do
So
on the
you
app?
can go in, you can buy groceries for your neighbour if they cannot go. Since you
that's
are
so
going,
lovely.
Like a tumpang idea.
yes,
Oh my God, I love it.
kids going to school together,
Good Hood. Love
stuff
it.
like
Shout
this.
out to you guys, man.
So I think that was really, really interesting, really cool.
That is
have a
cool.
look.
That is cool. Yeah.
And that might be the solution that we need to this work-life balance, or work-life baloney.
Yeah. No. I brought up that whole chain of discussion because I feel like people, when they're talking about like the me time, is absent. Even in the life aspect of work-life balance, right? Like, and I think that is something that we can think about a little bit more. And I do think Singaporeans are worked to the bones, right? It's very intense. The expectation is crazy, right? And in Singapore, you really cannot slow down. It's just very hard.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying Wise and Shine so far. I'm your host Reggie, aka your chief financial coconut, and for us to continue to do this show so that you become a tad bit wiser every week, you gotta like, share, subscribe, help us beat the algorithm. But even more importantly, if you can, comment in the comment section below. Let us know your thoughts and also some questions that you would love us to answer. Yep, now back to the show.
And you start to spin off this idea calling the getaway. Because you need to run away from certain things.
Yes,
But
you go overseas.
holiday and getaway looks like the same thing, but it feels very different mentally.
Yes. And I used to just sharing. I used to judge people like that.
I actually
those
still
kind of
do.
like, those kind of like,
quick getaway.
Yes, I need a getaway.
yeah, those kind of like 5 day or 5 days too much. Like 3 day turn around to Hong Kong shopping, makan, then come back, that kind,
And
right?
then judge me because I just had a
like
getaway
Bangkok,
to
yeah.
Penang. I switch off
she
everything.
said
I'm
getaway.
not.
She said
yeah,
getaway.
because I don't have to help my kid with their toilet
I
thing or
only
anything.
realized that it's important this year. So I had to get away to Penang as well.
No, exactly. And like what you said, right? Actually, what you're trying to say is that it is a manifestation of the system, right? Because the system is like that. So you need this
Right.
to like very short span.
Because while we're here, we cannot get away, so we literally need
have
to
to
get
go
away.
away.
Yeah. Like some of my friends go all the way to like taking substances like CBD oil, right? Okay, technically it's not a substance. CBD oil is the extract of weed, right? Essentially, supposedly the non-hallucination, the calming one, and then like they were saying like I really cannot not take it. Like there's just so much. The expectation is so much. I need like 5 minutes relax.
Right.
Then you already see, right? At some point, you will max out. It's like now workout also HIIT, but 30 minutes finish jump, then everything,
Yeah.
finish, right? Like when was the last time you hang out slowly?
You watch one movie, 1 hour, 30 minutes, now 1 minute, 30 seconds.
Right.
Correct.
Everything is getting pushed to a point where people have to go into crazy corners like these kind of substances, right? Not supporting them, but to me, I just see the whole thing as a reality where we're squeezing ourselves so much that it's not possible. Maybe, in other words, we are at terminal rate growth. We are already at a terminal state. Like we cannot go further unless we change some fundamentals.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And I think coming back to the points as well, right? A lot of this is trying to find out me time. If you think about it, right? Community support, getaways. It's really finding that me time. So is it important for us in our day, we understand how much me time is needed? and then allocate time for it. For example, my me time is 1.5 hours of FIFA every night before I sleep.
Oh shit, no
Without
chill.
a doubt. No chill.
No chill.
So my wife
Then no
knows
longer
it.
me time.
That's like the only me time I need. And that's my me time, and everything else in the day is for everybody else, for my work, for whatever, for the gym, right? So I think even just understanding that and trying to figure out how to make that happen is a good step to your work-life balance.
Yeah, and I feel like, okay, just adding on to that, right? I feel like it's only recently that I'm starting to do a little bit more of this, right? I feel like a lot of Singaporeans, right, when they do this kind of me time, right, it's healing before the crash. It's like they know about that, right? We're gonna crash. Like if I'm not doing anything, I need my me time, right? Without this, I'm gonna the whole thing is gonna crash, right? So it's only when they are inching close to that, then there will be a signal in their head, right? It's like, hey,
Now that you mention it, I can relate.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, I cannot, I cannot. So you're tahan a bit, I gotta do a me time.
Escape.
Yeah, I gotta go out, right? So a lot of Singaporeans do that, and I think it's a reality of the expectation of work. You know, it takes up so much time, and then there's this family, blah blah blah, right? So we've already established that. But nowadays, I'm trying to be a bit more conscious to engineer the me time in, as a regularity type of thing, right? Where and I don't mean regularity as like a just part of the system. You just got to do it so that you will not crash, because some people do things that way, right? But it's more like I'm going to block out this time and, spend it well. Like spend it with people that I enjoy.
We need to put it in our calendar.
Yeah,
we put the kids' appointments and work and everything, right?
Yeah.
But we don't have me time in our calendar.
And that's why a lot of parents will throw them at those kind of like spaces, right? Like enrichment class in the afternoon. Then they all gather at the Forum Shopping Centre down there, drink, talk, right? It's like, there's a system here, guys. That's why in the cafe, all near the enrichment school, right? And Singaporeans are just trying to make it work, right? So I feel like that is why there's so much crave for work-life balance. In actuality, what a lot of Singaporeans are saying, I know different people take on these ideas differently, but I think what a lot of Singaporeans are saying is, I need more me time. This is getting too much. Yeah.
Yeah, and me time is one, but it also helps. The other part that we need to talk about is the well-being, mental well-being, right? And that really helps with the me time.
Yeah, I think it's a bit symbiotic, right? On some levels.
Exactly.
A lot of the me time thingy, right? A lot of times it's actually not measured by the time that you use, but measured by the thing that you are doing.
The quality of the
it could
thing that you're doing.
If you really, really enjoy a round of game on your console, playing 15 minutes could be as effective as playing for 90 minutes. However, there's this large group of people where they say that they wanted to go for their me time, and then they are just lying there scrolling through their social media. And even if I do that for 2 hours, it's not going to give me the joy that I would have for playing my console for 15 minutes. So a lot of people are neglecting this. And then I would say it's very important to know what works for you and then specifically choose to do that. So it's about the quality and the decisions rather than the time you spent.
I don't deny that, but I just want to add on and point out that on some level, right, that is essentially you trying to be effective with your rest, right? And then going back into the work mode,
I
right?
see where I'm coming from.
Right?
Yes.
So it's like you want to be, everything must effective, everything must efficient these days, right? Rest also must effective and efficient.
Doom scrolling also.
Doom scrolling also not filtered, right?
Doom scrolling,
Yeah. So and I'm not supporting doom scrolling. I'm not saying you do what you do. So I'm quite aligned with what you are saying, right? It's just I think sometimes too much pursuit of efficiency really diminish the space to explore.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So like these days I try to like meet my friends in a more like, okay, let's meet for coffee here lor. Do what? I don't know lah, just sit and talk lor. Right, in a more like how we used to do it when we were kids, right? When your life was only exam and holidays, right? And CCAs, maybe
hang out in country.
right,
Scenario.
Don't perpetuate stereotypes, right? And play ball.
I'm the one who can't drink.
Okay. Yeah. So, and I'm not saying that we need to be like kids anymore, because the fact is we are not, and society has a certain expectation of us, and we are nourished in a different way also anyway, right? So what I'm saying is maybe we can try to recreate a little bit more space for randomness to happen in our lives, right? Like I will go hang out with my friends and it's like, do what? No, just go here. And then I think in the vicinity, there's a lot of things. I walk around and see what catches our eyes. Yeah, explore, right? And I think a lot of Singaporeans would crave a little bit more of that. Yeah.
I think I would like to double down on that, right? Because our lives are so structured nowadays. They are so 7 to 8, you do this. 8 to 9, you do this. And we brought up from school like this, right? You finish school, you got 1 hour to eat dinner, then you have to go for your ballet class, then you have to go for tuition, then you have to do your homework, but 1 hour because you have to be in bed by 11.
Yeah.
So you can wake up at 4 o'clock to wake up and do the whole thing again.
Yeah.
So that idea of you started that at what, maybe age 6, maybe age 9, some even earlier. So you're growing up that way, right until uni. So when is it really your time? That's a question, right? So that idea of randomness, of trying something new is of utmost importance and really get that going.
When you're embracing the randomness, you started absorbing everything that you see. Yeah, it's like, I've got a story to share and add on to this. It was back then when I was having my school attachment in UK. So we were driving into the Highlands in Scotland. So we went to one of the attractions. It was called the ferry pools. It's very nice. The water is like blue color. The stone is like pink. And we were so engrossed with taking photos. So while we are leaving the place, I was standing in front of this random cliff. I was staring at it for like a good 5 minutes till my friend come over and, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I am looking at the cliff, which I didn't realize that I wasn't looking at any of the things that I'm taking picture of at all. So I stood there and just zone out and look at the cliff.
I love that. I love that. I had that epiphany when I was in Taiwan backpacking, and the second day my phone was out of bed, like the light behind.
Then you started to be able to see things.
Like the light behind, yes. My phone was out of bed, right? And then I was like, what the hell am I going to do?
Are you in city or you're like
I was
somewhere?
in Taipei. And then I started sniffing the flower on the street. And then I was like, yeah, what have I been doing?
I never knew that this is such...
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, it's so cool.
I remember this as well because I started taking photos. I'm a photographer myself, an amateur photographer. And I thought to myself, I can either enjoy the moment or take a photo through a lens that I will effectively take a photo of later, but you will lose that moment as you're taking that, right? So which one do you want? Because you can't have both.
Same thing applies to concert, right? You bought the $200-$300 ticket
And then
just to
everyone
look at
can-
your screen recording the favorite song that you have.
Yeah.
Why not put it down
Exactly.
and embrace this rather than this?
Exactly.
Yeah, fair.
That's what I felt when I went for J Cho concert.
Right.
Your phone or other people's phone?
Everyone, I was like, why did
Wow.
everyone I was recording some section because like my favorite parts I wanted to re-listen later.
Yes.
But everyone else was like literally the whole time.
So it comes to the thing, right? You wanted to re-listen, but you wanted to revisit this moment which you missed out, which you can choose not to miss out.
Exactly.
Fair. I love that. So at the end now, after this whole discussion, is work-life balance baloney?
I think I still hold the same views as I had in the beginning that there is
So it didn't
really
shift your
very
view?
hard. It didn't. But what I like was how our conversation brought out a lot of room and a lot of food for thought. I like the idea about like trying to seek out communities instead of only relying on family and support. I think that is really where part of the stress comes in. Yeah, because when the family unit is so small and my husband's the only child, we really have no one else that we can rely on. So that is one that really helps. The other solution would really be, I lost track, but you were mentioning something about how the hours, like blocking out and really trying to have some dedicated me time put in.
Prioritizing yourself.
Yeah, like prioritizing that so that we don't feel the need for everything else that we tend to do, and we won't then feel I'm overworked all the time so much because
Yeah.
at least we had that recovery phase in a way.
Fair.
Yeah, but I think it's really about like figuring out what is a value at me time for each of us.
Fair. And I've come to double down on meeting the same people again and again. Right? I don't feel bad about like meeting the same, because in the past, right, there's a period of time where I'm like, I'm wasting too much time on the same person. Maybe I need to expand my social circle, which is fundamentally not wrong if I'm trying to do business. Yes, there's the element. But nowadays, I'm a bit more unapologetic, or like I really enjoy spending more time with this person. I'm just going to meet, him or her a bit more and just hang out more, and it's fine, But I will still dedicate time to network and all that, right? But meeting these people just is very comforting, very nice experience, and I feel like that's part of life. Yeah.
I think for me, views are not changed, mainly because we don't set the rules.
But for you, you never, after this whole discussion, you still think work-life balance is?
Mainly because that's not up to me. That's what I'm trying to come at, right? The society is that way. And if I don't do that, I'm going to lose out either by income, either by status, not status, but like quality of life. Let's put it that way. So that has to happen. That is a non-negotiable, is what I feel. But what we can do is operate within those margins. and find what is good for you mentally, what is good for you in terms of me time. I think one thing I want to put forth to our listeners as well is knowing your me time is great, but you need to make sure that you have to also know your partner's me time and give them that space as well, because they probably need it as well. Better if you can coincide or take turns, because you got to look after certain responsibilities.
Yeah, for sure.
To me, everything is life. It's like adding on to Rakesh feels is he's saying
everything is work because everything is life.
Wow, it is the biggest shift.
that even working is life. So you're saying that he choose to work more at this phase of life, and so that he can have more life at the later phase of life. But how I look at that example that he brought up is this phase of life, he choose to be working more, but it's still his phase of life. And at the later phase of life, he choose to be working lesser because of the hard work he put in his previous phase of life. So all these are life. Like, don't deny yourself that you are not living your life when you're at work. If not, you will feel that it has been taken away from you. So that's how I feel about it.
Or that should be cut out as a TikTok shot on its
It
own.
will. But to me, right, there are certain elements of work that you really don't like it.
Yeah, great tahan.
And I will still have to do it.
And it is still life.
Yeah. Yes, life is not everything that you like, right? Okay,
Yes.
so meta, right? But I think
cannot coincide more than everything is all life.
Oh my God, you're crazy.
No wonder
right?
two, they're separate ends.
Yeah, separate ends, but I think at the core, whether is it life or is it work, there will always be times that you don't like it, right? And you just gotta manage it, right? And it's not all about just happiness. Everything is joy. Everything. No. The whole repertoire of life allows you to better appreciate it for what it is. It's okay. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Lovely. Nice.